Right, hello there, and been a while since we done a video on this thing, and I said I'd bring you up to speed to where we're at. I know for looking from here it looks like we haven't done anything, but we've been cracking on. Now when I got the M unit first, I made up a temporary wiring loom because I wanted to get to grips with the nuances of how it worked and what you had to do and stuff like that. So we ripped all that out, and now we have our wiring done proper. Everything is all heat shrink and blah blah blah. These are all left up here. These are for the coil packs and the ignition pickups and whatnot. This one is for the electric speedo. These two are for neutral and oil. This is for the fuel gauge. All our wiring terminates here into our tray, and everything is crimped. And to Larry and Dave, no solder was harmed in the making of this wiring loom at all. There's no solder in it anywhere. So we have certain little single connections here, like this one is for the tacho. The way I have it done, I can disconnect the loom and take it off the bike in minutes. Now when I made the tank, I left room here where I have these wires ran. There's room left either side for the wiring to fit there. And so all that's left to do now is when the engine goes back in, we'll wire up the coils, the pickups, neutral and oil, and we should be ready to go for a test start. So yeah, it's not looking too bad. The whole idea of me doing this tray was that I could just dump all the wiring in there and not be too particular with how it looks. Our ignition is done, that's affixed to the tray. What I done was I went in through the side. I have two bolts in it. There's one there, one there. They go through, and there's two nylon spacers that go to the piece of angle iron that the ignition sits on, and it's chemical metalled to the tray because I didn't want any bolts in the bottom of the tray. What we will do when we take this apart to paint it and the whole lot is I'm going to line the inside of this with rubber. I have some rubber over there between them two crates on the second shelf, so we will glue the rubber in there. You know, like the wiring will be perfectly fine in there anyway. And I got these little connector things. They're done the same way the M unit's done. They're a latching type connector, so it's a 12 volt feed for anything that requires 12 volts. Like that one there is the permanent 12 volt feed to the clocks to keep the time on the clock and all that. This one is for the parking lights, so that when you turn on the ignition, the parks come on. So it does, everything works. I have it hooked up to a car battery under here. I just have this temporary lead coming up providing power. I do have a little bit left to do. I need a battery, and then we need to make the cables that goes from the battery to the M unit, and we're going to incorporate this resettable fuse into that. And then we also need to make the leads that go from the battery to the solenoid, from the solenoid to the starter, and make up the ground cables, the ground from the engine and the ground from the alternator. And the last job I'll have to do then, once I get the motor in, is I have to make the cable that comes from the alternator up to the battery. The alternator on my engine has an incorporated rectifier, so I don't have to worry about that. I just need to run two cables up from it, and we'll be golden, as the fella says. So there you go. What else have we done? Yeah, so everything works. I suppose I should show you. So just ignition is here, so turn the key. The clocks do their test, and you can see the mileage on it. There's a little box in here. I got this from a guy in the UK. You see it there. I don't know if it's hard to see it now. A little box in there. I made a little bracket to hold it. Without that box, the clocks won't display the mileage because they're looking for some sort of data signal from the Bandit ECU, and obviously the Bandit ECU is not there. So Paul made up this little box for me that feeds it a looped sample data stream that it's looking for. So everything works. Like you have trip A, trip B, and your odometer, and you have your clock over here as well, obviously. So yeah, so we've our indicators left, turn it off, right, and then if I press the two together, I have hazards. So you see the indicators are working away. You see the parks come on with the ignition there. No, I don't have the indicators on the back, I haven't taken off. So if we press this once, that gives us dip beam. If I press it again, you'll see down there, you'll see that, look down there, you'll see that there's high beam, and the high beam light is on the dash. If I press and hold it, they go off. Now you hear the fans there. I have they're H4 LED bulbs with fans on them. The tail light is LED. So there's tail light, brake light. So nice neat wire and loom. You reduce the amount of wire significantly than floating around with a stock loom trying to get it to do what you want to do. You know, like for example, from this switch down to here, there's 5 wires from this side. You can link all your grounds together, which I've done inside in the switchgear. So all the grounds for the kill switch, the lights, the starter. Oh yeah, that as well. Listen for a solenoid. So that's ready to rock. This side there are only 4 wires. Grounds are linked together, 1, 2, 3. So that gives you 1 wire and then 1 wire from each of these. So your indicator's there and your horn is there. And yeah, so we did a little bit of work to this tray as well. We made this edge for it here to link it all together because it was open, and rather than getting it welded, I just made up a nice little edge there that's wrapped around, and managed to bend it around on both sides. We shaped the bottom of the seat release. That's all bolted up properly now, along with these 2 bolts here, which hold the starter solenoid on its mount. Starter solenoid is here. It's rubber mounted. It's mounted exactly the way it was on a Bandit. So I have some stuff labelled here with heat shrink. So that's the ground from our Ignitec ignition. All these cables that are coiled up here are the other cables that come out of the... I'm only using about half the cables that come out of the Ignitec, but you have all these other outputs here. I don't know if you can see that. You have outputs for like what you call it, a shift light, and there's different power outputs and inputs and stuff like that. So I didn't want to cut them off in case I ever want to use them in the future. Yeah, so we are very close now to putting that back in, putting some oil in it, and making a bit of noise. So my plan is that I'm going to leave this section of the frame polished. It was already polished before, but what I'm going to do is the down tubes here. I'm going to do all the down tubes and all this area here. This will be all done in black. Reason being, you know, dirt and oil and crap like that. I want to spend my time riding this thing. I don't want to be constantly polishing it. There will be some polished stuff on it. Like I'll polish the swing arm. I'll polish this section of the frame, the rear sets. Probably polish the top yoke and the risers. and that'll be about the size of it then. But the bottom of the fork legs here, we'll do them black, along with the mudguard mounts. We'll do that black as well. Do the calipers black. A lot of black stuff in this bike. The bodywork will be black with some gold metal flake in it. The wheels are going to be powder coated in gold. But before I do that, I need to get that front wheel off, take the discs off, and grind away all the stuff that says, you know, Kawasaki and all the things that they have in it, and it'll end up looking like this rim. This rim was already done when I got it. It's all smooth, so it'll be real sexy looking when it's powder coated. There'll be none of that rough cast, so I have to basically sand all the rough cast that's on the spokes of this front wheel. It's quite a rough cast on it, so we need to give that a good sanding and take the bearings out, blah blah blah, get them powder coated, new bearings, dust seals, whatever, and put it all back together. So we are not far off now. I've been saying that for a while, but I haven't got near this thing in months. I haven't got near it in 3 months, and I just got that messed up in the head doing radios. I've just decided that I'm taking a break from it. Probably be on holidays by the time this video comes out, be out and back maybe, and yeah, so getting quite exciting now, being at this point, you know. I'm just hoping to God that engine is okay. We'll know as soon as we try to start it. Of course, that leaves us with the carbs. We have to go through the carbs. Oh, they're there somewhere in a bag. I don't know where they are. They're there somewhere, but they're down there. They're in there in that bag. So I have to go over to Dave in Longford, and we're going to take the carbs asunder and put them into his ultrasonic bath and give them a right good cleaning. So I have the little modified needle holders that got them from one of the boys on the old school Suzuki forum. I think it was Johnny One Bump I got them from. It stops the needles spinning in the carbs, in the emulsion tubes, and ovaling them out. So we will probably end up getting a rebuild kit to do the carbs, and you know, all new emulsion tubes and jets and all that stuff. And we're going to have to take a shot in the dark at the jetting for this thing, because we're going running a pair of pod filters. I have K&Ns there at the moment, but I really think I'm going to get a pair of the Piper Cross foam ones. Reason being, the K&N ones are grand, but they hit the frame, they foul the frame here. It's just the way it is, and all the elements look squashed in it, and it just looks a little bit naff. So I think we'll go try and get our hands on a set of the foam ones, and they'll just look a bit neater. So other than that, that's where we're at on this thing at the moment now. And it's been 3 years now since I started this project. Now it's on and off, on and off, on and off. I'm not constantly at it, but time is the problem. So, you know, it's nice to have it wired now. Have all that done. I prefer to have all that kind of work done before you have your painting or any of that carry on done. You don't want to be messing around. It's my new favourite tool. Got this crimper thing. Excellent. Absolutely excellent. Got that from Amazon. And that allows you to crimp on the connections onto the wires. So I got one here I can show you. Yeah, this is a factory one. But this allows you to do it exactly the way it's done there. Well, it's actually a bit better than that, because the insulation should be in the first clamp. Might be another one here, yeah. There we go. This is a better one to show you. put it on the bench. So it allows you to do that exactly the way they're done in the factory, and then you can put them into the blocks. These are old original Suzuki terminals that I harvested off looms. I just depinned them, so I can actually reuse them at some point in the future if I want. And I have the plugs there that go into these coils that I'm going using. These are the coils I'm going to use. So I told your man when I was ordering the Ignitech that I was using coil on plugs. So the way it's done, the way you have one wire coming from the coil, or from the Ignitech, sorry, which is your trigger or signal wire, which is actually a switch to ground, and you'll have a constant 12-volt feed going to each coil pack. And when the Ignitech triggers, it switches the ground, which allows the plug to fire. You know, from what I read on the OSS forum, it's the way to go with the. It's the way to do it. By using the coil on plug, it's just better than the two coils the way it's done. You know, coil 1 does cylinder 1 and 4, and then coil 2 does 2 and 3. So it's just a better way to do it, and happy days. So that's where we're at on the old Slabby. We are wired for sound. Excuse the pun. So the Ignite, or the M unit, this thing is deadly. All your different inputs and outputs there, indicated by your little LEDs flashing. There's 2 flashing. There's the hazard light, so I can just turn that off there. So you see there all your various inputs and output lights, and happy days. So there we go. Anyway, I'll leave it there for this video, and we'll get you in the next one. So happy days. Bye bye.